Amidst countless difficulties, Tien still continues to spread love with her kind heart and extraordinary determination. Her story will surely inspire you. Please watch the video. Night fell quietly. The rain outside seemed to have grown tired and was gradually thinning out. In the small room, the soft yellow nightlight cast a soft light on Mrs. Tam's thin face, making each wrinkle more clearly marked by the traces of time and years of loneliness. Tien sat on the edge of the bed, still holding her hand. Jack had finished cleaning the kitchen. His mother and Uncle Hung had also returned. The house now had only 2 people left, one old, one young. In a peaceful and loving moment, Mrs. Tam had fallen asleep after taking the medicine and eating a few spoonfuls of porridge. Her breathing was more even, although still weak. Tien did not take her eyes off her. Feeling relieved to see that her face was less pale, she gently stood up, took a dry towel to wipe the sweat from her forehead, then pulled the blanket back neatly. Every gesture was filled with affection, like a child taking care of his own mother. When she was sure that Mrs. Tam was fast asleep, Tien sat down on the wooden chair next to her, leaning her head against the bed. In that moment, old memories suddenly flooded back, making her heart ache. Blank. That day, when Tien had just passed the danger of not being able to return to the farm. The weather that day was also rainy, cold and wet. Not much different from today. She sat huddled in front of the porch of the inn, not knowing where to go, when Mrs. Tam, an old woman, small in stature, brought her a warm coat and a bowl of hot porridge. She said, "Eat, my child. It's raining like this. If you don't eat, you'll be cold." From that day on, the two became close, even though they were not related by blood. She took care of Tien like her own child. Whenever she came home late, she would leave a portion of rice waiting for her. When she was sick with a fever, she would sit by her side all night, cover her with a towel, boil ginger water, and cook porridge. Even when Tien was sad because people laughed at her or because she failed, she was the only one who sat and listened to her cry. Then patted her head and said, "It's okay, my child. Life is still long." It was the days with her that helped Tien not to fall, helped her to rise from poverty, to become a compassionate woman like today. Blank. Outside, the rain had stopped for a while. The night wind blew gently through the trees in the yard, gently swaying a few leaves that were still wet, creating a very soft, very peaceful sound. In the small room, the pale yellow light of the night lamp covered Mrs. Tam's sleeping face. She had eaten porridge, taken medicine, and fallen asleep since dusk. Her breathing was still weak, but it was more even. Her face was less wrinkled from fatigue. Next to the bed, Tien sat quietly, her eyes still following her as if she didn't want to leave. Jack brought a recliner, sat next to her, and said nothing. Time passed slowly. The space was so quiet that one could hear the clock ticking in the outer room. Occasionally, there was the sound of insects, gentle and not breaking the silence that enveloped the whole house. "Are you tired?" Jack asked softly, his voice as light as the wind. Tien shook her head, a fragile smile on her lips. "No, I'm used to staying up late. As long as Mrs. Tam sleeps peacefully like this, I feel at ease." Jack looked at her, his eyes gentle. "You're just like before. When I first met you, you took care of people like this." She chuckled. "Yeah, I guess I was born to take care of others. No, I was born to make people love me." Tien turned to look at Jack, her eyes a little surprised. She was silent for a few seconds, then smiled lightly. "You always know how to say things that soften people's hearts." "Because I'm telling the truth." Jack tilted his head, his eyes sincere. "You don't know. Seeing you sitting next to Mrs. Tam like this today, I see even more clearly why I love you so much. You always think of others, and you're gentle and resilient like that." Tien didn't answer right away. She silently looked down at her clasped hands, squeezing them gently. There are times when I get tired too, Jack, she said, her voice low and sincere. I also want to be weak. I also want someone to hold me for a long time and say, it's okay. You don't need to fight anymore. But then, I got used to it. Being strong seems to be the only choice. Jack was silent. He reached out, gently holding her hand. That hand was still thin and a bit cold. But when placed in his hand, he felt strangely warm. I'm here, Tien. I'm always here, as long as you let me. Tien looked at him. Her eyes filled with tears but did not fall. Aren't you afraid? I'm not perfect. I've suffered a lot, experienced many things that I don't want to tell. I'm afraid that one day you will see that I'm not as beautiful as I am now, both inside and out. I don't need you to be perfect, Jack replied immediately, without hesitation. I just need you to be yourself, a girl who knows pain but still knows how to love. Knows how to lose but still knows how to share. Do you know, it is your scratches that make you beautiful. They do not weaken you, but make you the strongest woman I have ever met. Tien bit her lip, her eyes sparkling. She gently leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice trembling. Thank you for not leaving. Jack wrapped his arms around her shoulders, squeezing gently as if he wanted to hold on to even the most fragile parts of her. The two of them sat together, silent but understanding, in the middle of a peaceful night, next to the sick grandmother who was sleeping peacefully. After a while, Jack whispered, have you ever thought about, one day, we will have a small house? Not too big, just enough to wake up in the morning to cook breakfast together, water the vegetables in the afternoon, and sit and tell each other about the little things of the day. Tien smiled, nodding slightly. Yes, I still dream like that. It's just, I never thought I could reach it. Now you can, as long as you agree. Tien looked up, her eyes sparkling in the night. Are you proposing to me? Jack chuckled softly, stroking her hair. No, I'm suggesting we dream together. Propose later, but if you say, yes, I'll start thinking about it tomorrow morning. She laughed through her tears. Then, yes. Jack squeezed her hand tightly, as if in this moment, the whole world was just the two of them, with a small promise. But deeper than anything they had ever said. Out in the yard, the last few drops of rain fell gently. The night was still deep. But in that small room, there was a light of love spreading silently, quietly but lastingly. The gentle morning sunlight filtered through the window, casting warm rays into the small room, dispelling the damp chill left by the rain last night. The chirping of birds in the garden echoed like a gentle symphony of a peaceful morning. On the old wooden bed, Mrs. Tam began to move. Her heavy eyelids after several days of high fever gradually opened, slowly and somewhat confusedly. Her gaze swept around the familiar room, then stopped at the two figures sitting next to her, a boy and a girl. Their heads slightly bowed, their hands still lightly holding each other. Jack, Tien, she called softly, her voice still weak but full of emotion. Although the call was small, it was like a ray of light that woke them both up. Jack opened his eyes first, then gently shook Tien, who was lying on his shoulder. She woke up with a start, took a few seconds to get her bearings, then immediately smiled when she saw Mrs. Tam waking up. Mrs. Tam, are you awake? Tien happily grabbed her hand. Jack also stood up, leaning close to the bed, his eyes filled with worry and relief. How are you feeling? Mrs. Tam nodded slightly, her eyes brimming with tears. You guys stayed here all night? Oh my, you didn't know anything? Tien squeezed her hand gently. Gently, it's okay. We just wanted to make sure you were okay. You had a high fever for several days. Luckily we stopped by in time. Mrs. Tam looked at Jack, then back at Tien, her eyes gradually warming up. Her voice trembled but full of affection. Oh my, what a blessing to have a daughter like you and Jack. I thought you were gone? Jack quickly shook his head. No. Grandma, you still have to live a long time, so we can hear you tell old stories. Mrs. Tam smiled weakly, tears rolling down the corners of her wrinkled eyes. You guys are so nice. I don't know what to say. Late at night, I heard faintly the sound of talking. Small laughter, so warm. like our whole family was together. Tien sat down on the edge of the bed, gently wiping the sweat from her forehead with a warm towel. She chuckled. We talked all night long. Grandma, thanks to you, we understood each other better. Mrs. Tam looked at the two of them, her eyes sparkling. So you're still useful when you're sick? Huh? All three of them burst out laughing, the gentle laughter resounding in the small room, marking a hopeful morning after tiring days. Mrs. Tam's face was rosier. Her breathing was steady. Her eyes were bright again. Jack stood up, stepped outside for a bit, then came back with a bowl of warm porridge on the tray. I've warmed it up. Try to eat a little, to regain your strength. Tien helped her up, her hand still not leaving her shoulder, her eyes filled with tenderness. After you finish eating, I will give you some medicine. The doctor gave you very specific instructions. Mrs. Tam ate each spoonful of porridge while looking at the two young people in front of her. Her eyes were sparkling with joy and gratitude. In the gentle light of the early morning, that image, a sickly grandmother being cared for by two grandchildren who were not related by blood but had the same heart, became strangely warm.
Ánh nắng ban mai dịu dàng lên qua khung cửa sổ, rọi từng tia ấm áp vào căn phòng nhỏ, xua tan cái lạnh ẩm ướt còn sót lại sau cơn mưa đêm qua. Tiếng chim hót ríu rít ngoài vườn vang lên như một bản hòa ca khẽ khàng của buổi sớm bình minh. Trên chiếc giường gỗ cũ kỹ, bà Tám bắt đầu cựa mình, đôi mí mắt nặng trĩu sau mấy ngày sốt cao dần dần mở ra, chậm rãi và có phần lẫn lộn. Ánh nhìn của bà đảo quanh căn phòng quen thuộc rồi dừng lại ở hai bóng người đang ngồi thiếp bên cạnh. Một trai một gái, đầu hơi gục, bàn tay vẫn còn nhẹ. Tiếng gọi ấy tuy nhỏ nhưng như một tia sáng đánh thức cả hai. Jack mở mắt trước rồi khẽ lay nhẹ Tử Tiên đang gục trên vai mình. Cô giật mình tỉnh dậy, mất vài giây để